Remember me, O Lord, in the acceptance of your people. Visit me with your deliverance, to see the good of your chosen ones, to rejoice in the gladness of your nation, to make my boast with your inheritance. We have sinned with our fathers. We have acted perversely. We have done wrong. Our fathers in this dream did not understand your wonders. They did not remember your many loving commitments that were veiled by the sea of reeds. But he saved them for his name's sake, to make known his might. He rebuked the sea of reeds and dried it up, and he led them through the depths, through a wilderness. And he saved them from the hand of the hater, and redeemed them from the hand of the enemy. And the waters covered their adversaries, not one of them was left. Then they believed his words, and they sang his praise. They soon forgot his works, and they did not wait for his counsel, but greedily lusted in the wilderness, and tried Yahuwah in the desert. And he gave them their requests, but sent leanness within their being. And they were jealous of Moshe in the camp of Aaron, the set-apart one of Yahuwah. Then the Eretz opened up and swallowed Dathan, and covered the company of Abraham. And the fire burned in their company, the fire consumed the wrong. They made a calf in Horeb, and bowed down to a molded image. Thus they changed my esteem into the form of an ox that eats grass. They forgot El, their Savior, the doer of the great deeds in Mishraim, of wonders in the land of Ham, of awesome deeds by the sea of reeds. Then he said that he would destroy them. Had not Moses, his chosen one, stood before him in the breach to turn away his wrath from destroying them. They then despised the pleasant land. They did not believe his word. They grumbled in their tents. They did not listen to the voice of Yahuwah. So he lifted up his hand in an oath against them, to make them fall in the wilderness, and to make their seed fall among the nations, and to scatter them in the lands. And they joined themselves to Belfor, and ate slaughterings made to the dead. Thus they provoked him with their deeds, and their plague broke out among them. Then Phinehas stood up and intervened, and the plague was stopped. And that was reigning for him righteousness to all generations forever. And they provoked the wrath of the waters of Meribah, and Moshe suffered on account of them, because they embittered his ruach, and he spoke rashly with his lips. They did not destroy the peoples as Yahuwah had commanded them, but mixed with the nations and learned their works, and served our idols and became a snare to them. And they slaughtered their sons and their daughters to the demons, and they shed innocent blood, the blood of their sons and daughters, whom they slaughtered to the idols of Canaan. And the land was defiled with blood. So they became unclean by their own works, and went whoring by their own deeds. And the wrath of Yahuwah burned against his people, and he loathed his own inheritance. Then he gave them to the hand of the nations, and those who hated them ruled over them. And their enemies oppressed them, and they were humbled under their hand. Many times he delivered them, but they rebelled against their plan. They rebelled in their plans. So they were brought low for their quickness. But he would look on the distress when he heard their cry, and remember his covenant for their sake, and relent according to the greatness of his loving commitment. He would let them find compassion before those holding them captive. Save us, O Yahuwah, our Elohim, and gather us from among the nations, to give the thanks to your set-apart name, to exalt your praise. Blessed be Yahuwah Elohim of Yasharel, from everlasting to everlasting. All people shall say, Amen. Praise Yahuwah.
says Yahuwah. The people who were left of the sword found grace in the wilderness, even Yasharel. When I went to cause him rest, Yahuwah has appeared of old unto me, saying, Yeah, I have loved you with an everlasting love. Therefore, with loving kindness have I drawn you. Again, I will build you, and you shall be built, O Virgin of Yasharel. You shall again be adorned with your tabrets, and shall go forth in the dance of them that make merry. You shall yet plant vines upon the mountains of Samaria. The planter shall plant and shall eat them as common things. For there shall be a day that the Nazarene upon Mount Ephraim shall cry, Arise ye, and let us go up to Zion unto El Yahuwah Elohim. For thus says Yahuwah, Sing with gladness for Yaakov, and shout among the chiefs of the nations. Publish ye, praise ye, and say, O Yahuwah, save your people from the remnant of Yasharel. Being justified by faith, we have peace with Elohim through our Adonai, Yahushua HaMashiach, of whom also we have access by faith into this grace wherein we stand and rejoice in hope of the glory of Elohim. And not only so, but we glory in tribulations also, knowing that tribulation works patience, and patience experience, and experience hope. Hope makes not ashamed, because the love of Elohim is shed abroad in our hearts by the Ruach HaKodesh, which is given unto us. For when we were yet without strength, at the appointed time, Mashiach died for the wicked. For scarcely for a righteous man will one die, yet perchance for a good man some would even dare to die. But Elohim commands his love towards us, in that, while we were yet sinners, Mashiach died for us.
Sing, O barren land, you who did not bear, break forth into singing and cry aloud, you who have not been in the labor. For the children of the deserted one are more than the children of the married one, says Yahuwah. Enlarge the place of your tent, and let them stretch out the curtains of your clothes. Spare not. Lengthen your cords and strengthen your stakes. For you shall break forth into the right and to the left, and your speed inherit the nations, and make the deserted cities inhabited. Do not fear, for you shall not be put to shame, nor hurt. You shall not be humiliated. For the shame of your youth you shall forget, and not remember the reproach of your widowhood anymore. For your maker is your husband. Yahuwah Zabaoth is his name. The set apart one of Yasharel is your redeemer. He is called Elohim of all the erects. For Yahuwah has called you like a woman forsaken and grieved in Ruach, like a wife of youth when you were refused, declares your Elohim. For yet a little while I have forsaken you, but with great compassion I shall gather you. In an overflow of wrath I hid my face from you for a moment. But with everlasting loving commitment I shall have compassion on you, said Yahuwah, your Redeemer.
John 3, verse 16. But Elohim so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. John 15. I am the vine of truth, and my Father is the husband. Every branch in me that bears not fruit, he takes away, and every branch that bears fruit, he purges it, that it may bring forth more fruit. Now ye are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you. Abide in me, and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself, except it abide in the vine, no more can ye, except ye abide in me. I am the vine, ye are the Nazarene. He that abides in me, and I in him, the same brings forth much fruit. For without me, ye can do nothing. If a man abides not in me, he is cast forth as a branch, and is withered, and men gather them, and cast them into the fire, and they are burned. If ye abide in me, and my words abide in you, ye shall ask what ye will, and it shall be done unto you. Herein is my Father glorified, that ye bear much fruit. So shall ye be my Talmudim. As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Continue ye in my love. If ye guard my commandments, ye shall abide in my love, even as I have guarded my Father's commandments and abide in his love. These things have I spoken unto you, that my joy might remain in you, and that your joy might be full. This is my commandment, that ye love one another as I have loved you. Greater love has no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. Ye are my friends, if ye do whatsoever I command you. Henceforth I call you not servants, for the servant knows not what his Adonai does, but I have called you friends. For all things that I have heard of my Father, I have made known unto you. Ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you, and ordained you, that ye should go and bring forth fruit, that your fruit should remain, that whatsoever ye shall ask of the Father in my name, he may give it to you. These things I command you, that ye love one another. If the world hates you, ye know that it hated me before it hated you. If ye were of the world would love his own. But because ye are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hates you. Remember the word that I said unto you, the servant is not greater than his Adonai. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they have guarded my word, they will guard yours also. But all these things will they do unto you for my name's sake, because they know not him that sent me. If I have not come and spoken unto them, they had not had sin, but now they have no cloak for their sin. He that hates me hates my Father also. If I had not done among them the works which no other man did, they had not had sin. But now have they both seen and hated both me and my Father. But that the word might be fulfilled that is written in the writings. They hated me without a cause, but the Comforter is come, who I will send unto you from the Father, the Ruach, the Meth, which proceeds from the Father. He shall testify of me. and ye also shall bear witness, because ye have been with me from the beginning.
Yehuda 1, beginning at 17. But you, beloved ones, remember the words spoken before by the emissaries of our Master Yahushua, the Messiah. Because they told you that there would be mockers in the last times who would walk according to their own wicked lusts. These are the ones who came to cause division, not having the Ruach. But you, beloved ones, building yourselves up on your most set-apart belief, praying in the set-apart Ruach, keeping yourselves in the love of Elohim, live with exceeding joy, to the only wise Elohim of our Savior, be esteemed in greatness, in might, and authority, both now and forever. Amen.
Yahudim, which came to Miriam and had seen the things which Yahusha did, believe on him. But some of them went their ways to the Perishim, that is the Pharisees, and told them what things Yahusha had done. Then gathered the chief priests of the Perishim in council and said, what do we? For this man does many miracles. If we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him. And the Romans, shall come and take away both our place and nation. And one of them, named Caiaphas, which is Caiaphas, being the high priest that same year, said unto them, Ye know nothing at all, nor consider that it is expedient for us that one man shall die for the people, and that the whole nation perish not. And this spoke he not of himself, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Yahushua shall die for that nation, and not for that nation only, but that also he should gather together in one the children of Elohim that were scattered abroad.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
That's right. All praises. Man. The name of Yah is everlasting. Man. I appreciate y'all so much. Y'all doing the thing. All praises. How y'all feeling? Man. As usual, y'all know I'm happy to see y'all. Happy to be here. Blessed to be here. Yeah, in the wise words of a child named Sire, he didn't have to do it. So, yeah, I'm just happy to be here. Man. We're going to continue where we left off. Lake Hot, we still in that Torah portion. Yeah, we just going to keep on moving along. Yeah. We're going to keep on moving along. Y'all had to forgive me because the praise was good. I could have just stayed in that meditation for another 20, 30 minutes. But I know the singers probably would have been over there sweating like, man, how long you gonna keep us up here now? I made a joke like, hey, I was just joking when I said it, like when it was rehearsing, like, hey, don't be surprised if I just had y'all up there singing. I'm not about to be in no rush. And it kind of happened. I was just joking when I said it, but it kind of happened. Like, all praises. Like, all praises. Like, if I don't say a word, like, that meditation is meaty enough. He's everlasting. Like, everlasting, did that mean, like, some of the time? Like, what did Elijah say about Baal? Like, where is he at? Is he asleep? Like, nah, we know our Elohim never sleeps nor slumbers. Like, he's everlasting. Man, I'm thankful for that. So yeah, disclaimer. No new faces in the room. Y'all know the routine by this point. So yeah, be mindful of that. I'm gonna keep moving. Memory verse for the day. Zechariah 4:6. All right, it says, and he answered and said to me, this is the word of Yahuwah to Zerubbabel, not by might nor by power, and that's why I'm here. Not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, said Yahuwah of hosts. Not by might nor by power, but my spirit, said Yahuwah of hosts. Let's keep that in mind as we go through this study. Examples written for our learning. Romans 15:4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. 1 Corinthians 10:11. And all these came upon them as examples, and they were written as a warning to us, on whom the ends of the ages have come, so that he who thinks he stands, let him take heed lest he fall. What did he just say? He said, not by might, not by strength, but by my ruach. Right? So no trial has overtaken you except such as is common to man, and Elohim is trustworthy, who shall not allow you to be tried beyond what you are able, but with the trial shall also make the way of escape, enabling you to bear it. Man, thank you, Father. He's everlasting. Like, how many times have we been through just situations where you look ahead and it's like, hey, I don't know what the future of this looks like. I don't know how we gonna get through this, if we gonna get through this. But keep in mind that he's everlasting. He's not putting you through anything that you can't bear. So as long as you operating within his will and stand on the course that he has you set on, what's to worry about? All praises, none at all. All praises. So, the overview. What's going on in chapter 14? Did anything stand out to y'all in this chapter? Yeah, my mind glitched. I was about to say, man, I got the mic. But nah, they not singing now, so we good. We got plenty of free mics. Anybody got anything? I grind.
Thanks, sis. I think we, just touched on it a little bit in the chat, the group chat. Now we online, so I think we see in chapter 14, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think we may see like the very first recorded war. Abram being called a Hebrew, and then we see Melchizedek of Salem. I'm reading what I had put in here, which is Jerusalem. So we see a high priest there then. So I think we're seeing a structure of things already, even from the priesthood or whatnot. But yeah, that's what I got.
All praises. Anybody have anything else? And keep in mind, as the weeks go by, I'm gonna keep asking those questions beforehand because I'm trying to get the wheel spinning. This was one of those lessons where it was like, let me see if I test the water a little bit and see, because there's a lot of different ways we can go with this chapter. So it's like, all right, let me test the waters and see, throw some fillers out there and see where everybody is at. So all praises.
One, I want to ask you a question. So going back, and I think you had touched on it a little bit to chapter 12, verse 6, where it says, and Abram passed through the land unto the place of Sikkim unto the plain of Moreh, and the Canaanites was in the land. So reading that, just thinking in my mind, he had just left, and he goes into this plain called Moreh. Could we take out of this is probably where he got some learning, some teaching during this particular time in the land of Moreh, the land of teaching. Okay.
All praises. Con. Yeah, that word Moreh, it has a lot of meaning. One is dealing with the rains, the seasonal rains that come into the land, and the essence of that is that, and the connection is that there's a certain way as far as a moray. When we're talking about it, there's a certain connection and a parallel between those rains and how they come. These aren't to put it, I'll put it like this. In Deuteronomy 32, he talks about his speech distilling as the dew, right? Like something about the teaching also, it should reflect the nature and the quality of the seasonal rains in that land. So yeah, excellent connection there on a spiritual level, on what they would call like a soul level of understanding is, which by that I just mean a deeper spiritual revelation. Absolutely, he's learning something there as he's in this land. And if you go back and just track everywhere where he touches down, each one of those places are significant. He stops at Bethel. Bethel means what? House of El. So like if you just pay attention to this route that he takes, each one of these places in that land are significant.
Yeah, and he has to do some learning because he just left his family who are idol worshipers, and he's got to do some learning before he can get to the place where the Most High is trying to send him and do the work that the Most High is trying to get him to do. Yeah, I'm just leave it there.
Absolutely. All praises. Look, I know it's been a couple weeks. I know. Come on now, Elder. All praises. What you got?
Hello? Yeah.
All praises.
One thing that stood out to me is that how unwavering Abraham's faith was in the Most High.
Mm-hmm.
Because when they had took off with his nephew, and Abraham only took 318 people with him,
Mm-hmm.
and he went up against 5 different kingdoms.
Mm-hmm.
So he was verily outmatched, when it comes to the warfare.
Mm-hmm.
But what everything that he had already been through, that Yah has showed him, he had no fear about doing anything,
Mm-hmm.
because he knew that Yah was with him and he was with Yah.
All praises. Well said. Like I said, not by strength, not by might, but by my ruach.
Yeah.
All praises. So, like it was mentioned, we got the War of the Kings, right? It's a coalition of 4 Eastern kings wage war against 5 local Canaanite kings, including the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah. The Eastern kings defeat the Canaanite coalition and plunder the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. Abram is a rescuer and a warrior. So Lot, Abram's nephew, living in Sodom, is captured along with his possessions. Upon hearing the news, Abram mobilizes his 318 trained men and, with allied Amorite neighbors, pursues the victors. He executes a successful night attack, defeats the Eastern coalition, and rescues Lot, all the captured people, and all their goods. Then we got to deal with this king priest Melchizedek. So after the victory, Abram is met by Melchizedek, the king of Salem, Jerusalem, and he's the priest of Elohim Most High, or El Elyon. So this is a key theological moment as Melchizedek blesses Abram in the name of Elohim. And then we got Abram's integrity and refusal of wealth. The king of Sodom offers Abram all the recovered plunder, asking only for his people back. Abram swears an oath and refuses to take even a thread or a sandal strap from the king of Sodom. His reason: he does not want the pagan king to be able to claim, "I have made Abram rich." He wants his wealth to come solely from Elohim's blessing. All right. All right, so we're going to do some background because I want to put this battle in perspective. Because it's easy when looking at this chapter to kind of brush over it, and to Elder's point that he just said, not really realize like the magnitude of what Abram was going up against, because this chapter reads really quickly, and not only does it read really quickly, it kind of seems out of place with the flow of events, right? Like, kind of seems like 1 minute we hearing about Lot, and then it's like next thing this chapter starts off with us just reading about warfare of these kings, right? So what's going on? Genesis 14 opens with a battle that takes place between 2 groups of kings in a place called the Valley of Siddim. So on one side you have Amraphel, king of Shinar. What can y'all tell me about Shinar? Okay, so let's go back a few weeks. We was in Genesis chapter 10. We talked about Nimrod, right? So in Genesis 10 and 10, it talks about how Nimrod founded these cities. Babel, one of those cities was Shinar, okay? So I want y'all to start really putting this in y'all head of, like, these wasn't just some, random places and random small-time people. Like, this is one of the first established nations. So by this time, they're established, right? So Amraphel, the king of Shinar. Then we got Arioch, king of Elasar. Now, Elasar is, according to, I looked in Brown Driver's Breeze. I didn't do a whole lot of digging on this place, but because I only really mentioned this one time, but from what I could find, is 28 miles east of and Babylon. So again, we're talking about this region of Babylon, right? Then we got Kedorlaomer, king of Elam, and he's the one who led this coalition here. Elam. Elam pops up many times throughout the rest of the scriptures. You're going to see it in the prophets and Ezekiel and Daniel. And this is a major player. Like, they are a major player, powerful nation at this point in time. And they don't really lose their splendor until the Achaemenid period, which is the time of the Persians. So that's how major of a player they are. And they really are, through later points of history, kind of the ones that are keeping those that are in Mesopotamia, so the Akkadians, for instance, they kind of keep them in check, right, so that they can't go too far, right? And then we got Tidal, the king of the Goyim. And then that's interesting because when you look at that phrase for Goyim, we saw that as well in Genesis chapter 10, Gentiles, right? Now, it's a generic term that means nations, Gentiles, and then over time it started to be used to describe heathen or nations that, had wild ways, right? But in this context, it just seems to be in the same context that it was used in Genesis chapter 10, that region of where Japheth's folks went, right? Talking about in Europe, okay? So he's a king of these quote-unquote nations, okay? And then on the other side, so on this first side, every player over here, like I said, they're major. Like, these are powerful places. And then on the other side, on the flip side, you have Beresiyth, the king of Sodom. Now, we learned last week, right, looked at Sodom. It's some hustle and bustle going on there. It's an established city, but it's not Shinar. It's not, like, it would be like comparing, this is just my imagination with how I have to understand things, but it'd be like comparing, like, Cincinnati to New York, right? Like, Cincinnati it's a big city, but it's not New York, right? It's not Chicago. Like, and Chicago is not New York, right? Like, big cities in their own right, and it's a city, but it's not the city. Like, it gets bigger than that, right? And you got Beresiyth, king of Gomorrah. You got Shinab, king of Atma. Shemeber, king of Zeboim. And then you got the king of Bela or Zoar. Now, all 5 of those places I want y'all to keep in mind because in a couple weeks, we're going to see these places again, all right? So all 5 of these cities are important because, like I said, we're going to see them in future chapters. When Sodom and Gomorrah had some issues and the Most High visited these places, it wasn't just Sodom and Gomorrah. It was a collection of all 5 of those places in that region. 4 of them were destroyed. 1 of them was spared, and that's the one that Lot said, hey, can I flee there? This is the smallest one, right? And that ends up being the last one. And what's interesting there is if you look, the name of the king isn't even named. So just it's the smaller of these 5. So notice that these were not small villages. These were large cities that were engaging in war with one another for geopolitical reasons. All right, so on one side you have 5 smaller vassal city-states rebelling against their suzerain or overlord to reobtain their independence and sovereignty. So nothing new is under the sun. It's the same thing that's going on today when you hear about all of the quote-unquote geopolitics of these Middle Eastern regions, right? Like Ukraine and Russia, they're fighting right now, not for any real reason, but it's geopolitical, right? Israel is fighting against all of their neighbors, and by Israel, I mean the nation state today, the modern nation state. And, it's just all for whatever geopolitical reasons that they have on their agendas, right? So on the other side, you have 4 larger politically powerful nations that are seeking to maintain the already established geopolitical boundaries. So now, to put that again in perspective, on one side, you're dealing with Russia, right? And Putin, and then on the other side, you're dealing with Ukraine. Like, clearly, one is the underdog in that fight, right? And in this case, the nations, Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, all those 5 cities, that's the underdog, right? All right, all praises. So that's going to be hard to see, but all praises. So the War of Kings in Genesis 14 highlights the strategic, economic, and geopolitical importance of the Dead Sea region, the Valley of Siddim, as a trade route for bitumen, or in other words, tar, connecting Mesopotamian powers, Elam and Shinar, to the Levant. It established the geographical boundaries of the Promised Land and validated Abraham's presence there. So key geographical significance. It's a strategic trade hub, the Valley of Siddim. Southern Dead Sea was a vital, resource-rich area. They had those tar pits, linking eastern powers to Canaan, necessitating control by Mesopotamian kings for economic stability. So same thing as today, nothing's new under the sun. What's happening right now with the U.S. and Venezuela, right? They got something that we want, that they want. I'm gonna listen. All praises. Thank you for that, Elder. I knew it was coming. Thank you for that, Elder. You got something, sis? Oh, okay. All praises. So, yeah, it's no different, right? It's nothing new under the sun. They put a vassal king in place, and the minute that he stopped wanting to do what U.S. said to do, what Big Brother said to do, Big Brother said, hey, I'm about to come and see about that then, right? It's my bike, fool. So, all praises. So, an extensive power alignment. So, the conflict shows that the southern Levant was under the sphere of influence of a coalition from as far as Iran, Elam. Now, if y'all see, now when I'm putting this stuff together on my small screen, and the screen is like right here in front of me, it makes a lot more sense putting these maps on here. But just bear with me and put on your binoculars, right? If you look at that map, those two maps on the side there, it kind of gives you an idea of how far away these kings are coming from to get to the Dead Sea region. So Iran, Iraq, Babylon, that's like way off to the east. It's hundreds of miles. It's hundreds of miles off to the east from where they're coming to conquer in the land of Canaan, all right? That bottom one, for sure, we're going to see that bigger. But, yeah, for now, I just want y'all to keep that in perspective. Like, these kings, this place is important, and these kings are traveling far and wide to make sure that they keep this region under their control, right? So, geopolitical boundaries. By conquering the area and rescuing Lot, Abraham's actions defined the scope of his influence, covering territory from Dan in the north to Hobah in the east. The text precisely locates the battle in the Valley of Siddim, notes the transformation of this area in the Salt Sea or the Dead Sea, and highlights the King's Highway as a corridor for conquest. The war represents a significant moment where a localized conflict over resources in the Dead Sea area intersected with international imperial ambitions, ultimately serving to bolster the narrative of Abraham as a significant figure in the region. And I can guarantee you, even to this day, if you look at any of these conflicts that take place, any conflict, it doesn't matter who's involved, you can pinpoint that there is some resource or there is some reason why the conflict is taking place. And it's usually over, some resource, or that land itself is the resource as far as politically, because it might be a buffer zone between enemies. There's always a reason why the conflicts take place. There we go. There we go. And that's like, where did that even come from? But all praises.
This must be to you. What are you saying? Have you explained the reason for the war in Beresiyth 14 yet? Like why they were coming to war?
So yeah, that's what we're going over now. So basically, this area is an area, and we'll see that once we start reading the chapter. There's these tar pits there, or these bitumen pits, which and especially in their day, this is a crucial resource. So like if you'll go back, if we remember, how did Noah build the ark?
Pitch.
With tar and pitch,
Tar.
right? So you need this for it's a lot of uses for these tar pits. But yeah, so that's what we're going over. Basically, they're fighting because of the resources, and then as we look into the chapter, we'll see that they had them under control for 12 years. Then after that, you'll find that in the 13th year, they end up breaking away. But now, if I'm the king that had control over this region, I got to come and deal with that because I don't want them rebelling against my control. And then who knows? Now I can't have control over these resources. And then who knows? The other smaller nations around them might think that that's a good idea, and they might try to do the same thing. Now I'm losing control over a whole region.
So this is the same area which they call today the Fertile Crescent. So there's a whole lot of things that probably can be grown there. This is the same area where the tower was built also, correct?
So the tower is where those kings are traveling from. Right. So they're leaving their area over Shinar, Babylon area, and then they're coming here to land of Canaan. But like you said, this is a land that, like, not to go into too much detail, but even when you look at that area, the quote unquote area of Canaan today, I'm gonna call it that, right? Like, I don't want to say their names too much before they flag us, right? We ain't saying the right stuff about them. But listen, but yeah, it's a reason why they want it, right? Like, this land is a land, and the way that it's positioned, it has, I mean, from a historic standpoint, you got mountain ranges, right? These are good for defense, right? Like, we even see in future times, Herod, where did he go? Out into the Judean mountains, and then he goes out to these mountains and sets up a place called Masada. And this is it's a high place. Like, this is a strong place. Like, you got mountain ranges. Then you have the ability to grow food. We gonna see in future chapters, right, that the grapes of this land are so large that 2 men had to carry them with a stick in between, with a pole in between, right? Like, it can grow some food. This land can grow some food. And even if you look at that region today, they can grow some food.
So they call this area like the navel of the earth, the center of the earth. Could it be? I'm opening up a can of worms. Could it be a garden was placed east of Eden? Could it be part of what we would call the garden? I'm not saying that's what I don't want to say that because you know, I'm trying to be careful of how I'm saying it because people are watching. I don't want them thinking that I'm saying, well, yeah, the land of Israel is the Garden of Eden.
What I'll say is I don't want to pinpoint the exact location of the garden, but it's all of this region that we're talking about between Babylon and land of Canaan. Like, we know, I'll put it this way, Genesis points out four rivers and lets us know that that's where it is. 2 of these rivers we can locate for sure, right? And then you have the other ones that are kind of like, it's anybody's mystery. But it's not like it was somewhere over in the U.S. Like, it's in this general area somewhere. So yeah, kind of. So all praises. All praises. So a little bit better of a map. Now, last week I was talking about how when you look at maps, they sometimes have a legend on it. Well, at the bottom there is a legend, right? And it's telling you that at the bottom is 100 miles, that little marker. So it gives you a just about, a roundabout figure on distance. You can estimate it of how far where they're coming from in the red. And that's 100 miles on feet and on chariots and on from there all the way over here to where those green words are. It's hundreds of miles that they had to travel to get over here. So Notice that this war was a large-scale invasion that likely took place due to the geopolitics of the day. In the east, you had the more powerful nations led by Chedorlaomer. Chedorlaomer leads a campaign to the west, overtaking the land of Canaan and placing them under his control. The region of the land of Canaan, modern-day Israel, has long been a place that has gained attention for many reasons. So what I wanted us to note is how far these kings had to travel for war. So if you don't get up and go that far, it's got to be important to you, all right? So now, Genesis 14, starting at 1, it says, "And it came to be in the days of Amraphel, the king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Elasar, Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, the king of Goyim, that they fought against Bera, king of Sodom, Bersha, king of Gomorrah, Shinab, king of Admah, Shemeber, king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, that is Soar. All these joined together in the valley of Siddim, that is the Salt Sea. 12 years they served Chedorlaomer, and in the 13th year they rebelled. And in the 14th year, Chedorlaomer and the kings that were with him came and struck the Rephaim in Ashtaroth, Karnaim, and the Zuzim in Ham, and the Emim or the Emites in Shaveh Kiriathim, and the Horites in their mountain of Seir, as far as El Paran, which is by the wilderness. And they turned back and came to En Mishpat, that is Kadesh, and struck all the country of the Amalekites and also the Amorites who dwelt in Hatzazon Tamar. So now let me ask y'all, what do we know about these people groups, the ones that I highlighted, the Rephaim, the Zuzim, the Emim or the Emites, the Horites, Amalekites, and the Amorites? What do we know about these people groups?
They were Gentiles
Okay, so they were Gentiles.
from the land of Canaan.
Okay, they from the land of Canaan. So again, what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to frame what Abram is going up against, right?
Right.
We know that these people were considered giants and likened to the Nephilim and descendants of the sons of Anak. Right. So all of these same nations that we see right here that they're talking about, that this king that came from Shinar, and they came when they came into the land of Canaan, guess what? They ran into the same giants that we ran into when we went into the land of Canaan. This is a land that has giants in this land. And he wiped these nations out, like he defeated them in battle and then moved on to Sodom. And so again, I'm trying to paint the picture that these are powerhouses. Like these are not just small nations on a small campaign. What Abram was about to go up against is a mighty and powerful group of warriors.
Now, you also have to understand that Sodom and Gomorrah, those 12 years, they was paying homage to this king. So once you rebel against this king, he has to go back and say, "Wait, this has got to stop," because if it doesn't, then somebody else gonna start rebelling against him. So he had to put a stop to that, as quick as possible as he could. But little did he know that Abraham and Abraham's nephew was sitting in there. So that was a whole different story. He didn't know that until he got there.
You're going to learn today. All praises. So the nation of Israel saw these same people in the land when they were sent to spy it out and feared these people. Israel would also war with these people when they conquered the land of Canaan. For instance, King Og of Bashan, how many of us remember reading about him? It said that his bed, right, he was known for his great stature, and he was mentioned in Deuteronomy 3 and 11. And it says, "For only Og, king of Bashan, was left of the remnant of the Rephaites or the Rephaim. See, his bedstead was an iron bedstead." So it's made out of iron because it needs to be strong enough to hold this man, right? Is it not in Rabbah of the children of Ammon? 9 cubits. Now that estimates to about 14 feet. Like, you got to really think about how tall 14 feet is. Like, for real, standing next to it. I'm not the shortest person. And that's like me standing on top of my shoulders and you holding your arms up.
And the other crazy thing is, we talking Genesis. Most people will say this is Stone Age. Here, these people working with iron.
Mm-hmm.
So these people are a little bit more powerful than like what you were just saying. Like, they're working with iron to create a bed. Iron, like what does that look like? You know.
All praises. All praises. So 9 cubits or 14 feet is its length, and 4 or 7 feet, 4 cubits is its width, according to the cubit of a man. Like that's like Shaq. That's like Shaq standing on top of Yao Ming's head. Like that's it's crazy. It's crazy. Like, it's crazy. Massive. Deuteronomy 2:9. It says, and Yahuwah said to me, do not distress Moab, nor sit yourself up against them in battle, for I do not give you any of their land as a possession, because I have given Ar to the descendants of Lot as a possession. Now, we're reading about Lot right now. We're going to see that Lot does get an inheritance in this quote-unquote land of Canaan, right? His children, the Ammonites and the Moabites, they have their portion in this land. So the Emites, or the Emites, had dwelt there formerly, a people as great and as numerous and as tall as the Anakim. So again, he just wiped these nations out, these giants out, like they was nothing. Powerful people that Abram is about to go up against. They were also reckoned as Rephaites or Rephaim, like the Anakim, but the Moabites called them Emim or Emites. And the Horites formerly dwelt in Seir. Now we're going to future see that that's going to end up being Esau's region when we deal with him. But the descendants of Esau disposed them and destroyed them from before them, and dwelt in their place, and Israel did to the land of their, as Israel did to the land of their possession, which Yahuwah gave them. So that's interesting. So we see that the Father divvied out that whole region of land. Israel, I mean, we got our portion, but then you also see Esau gets a portion, sons of Lot, they got a portion too. Amos 2:9 said, yet I destroyed the Amorite, another one of those names on that list, before them, whose height was like the height of the cedars. Again, these are giants. And he was as strong as the oaks, yet I destroyed his fruit from above and his roots from beneath. Numbers 13 and 31. What did we say when we saw all of these people in this land? Grasshoppers in their sight. He said, but the men had gone up with him, said, we are not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we. And they gave the children of Israel an evil report of the land which they had spied out, saying, the land through which we have gone as spies is a land eating up its inhabitants, and all the people whom we saw in it are men of great size. So again, putting this in perspective, great nations, Babylon, great nations. They just came in, and they're so powerful that when they came into the land of Canaan, they saw these people, and they weren't like us. Said, hey, we can't fight against them. They saw them and said, I came, I saw, I conquered. Got them out of the way, and then moving on to where Lot is, right? So for Abram to be able to go up against these people with 318 men and to be able to defeat them in this battle, this is incredible. Again, not by might, not by strength, but by my Ruach. Like, this is significant.
Are you going to talk about the offspring?
Offspring of...
No, I'm just interested because most people say that after the flood, that was the end of, quote unquote, giants.
I'm definitely closing that can of worms.
Closing the can now.
Yeah, I'm definitely closing that can of worms.
But it's just interesting because we see this here, and there's evidence of that.
Before and after.
Right. The before and after with the the giants and stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm not about to sidetrack on that. What I'll say is there are a lot of fanciful tales. Like if you look in like Targum Jonathan, for instance, they talk about how there was a king named Og that jumped on top of the ark and survived through the flood. The scriptures don't say that, right? So like, yeah, and you know, we deal with the Targums as exactly what they are, the commentaries. That's it, you know. So when you start getting off into that, you can get off into the weeds of how they were, how they existed after the flood. I don't know. And then there's other things, like some say they did it through some form of ritual. I don't know, right? Like, all that I'm gonna say is that what we do know is that they did for certain exist before and after. Yeah.
What I tell people is that you don't know where the wives came for Japheth and Ham. You don't know where those wives came from because it doesn't say.
Yeah, what might have been in that bloodline.
You know, it might have been in the bloodline.
Con. So yeah, I mean, as we see, it's a lot of ways that it can be explained. All I can say is, before and after, there definitely was giants in the land. And even when you look in numbers and the account of numbers, and when they was going through the wilderness, they called them Nephilim. So yeah, but I'm gonna gently close the lid on that one and keep it moving. All praises. So yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've heard but I've heard it all, man. I've heard it all. So yeah, so a couple more maps. There's that other map, a little bit bigger. It's just as blurry, but you can see Iran is all the way over there to give you some perspective. Iran is all the way over there. You see Iraq in the center, and Israel is all the way over there, right? Dead Sea is all the way over there where those green boxes are pointing to. So they came from all the way over there, traveled all the way up, came back down into that land on this campaign. Like this is a major thing that's taking place. And then they, on this map here, they got more of the route in which they went. You can see them coming in from the top and making their way down. So yeah, all praises. So hopefully we are starting to get a grasp of how powerful Chedorlaomer and his forces were. They were not just a small-time group of bandits. These were powerful warlords that reigned over larger nations on a military campaign to quell a rebellion that was brewing in one of the regions they had under control. So Beresiyth, Genesis 14:8. It says, and the king of Sodom, and the king of Gomorrah, and the king of Admah, and the king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, that is Zoar, went out and joined together in battle in the valley of Siddim against Chedorlaomer, the king of Elam, and Tidal, the king of Goyim, and Amraphel, the king of Shinar, and Arioch, king of Elasar, 4 kings against 5. And the valley of Siddim had many tar pits. And the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled and fell there, and the remainder fled to the mountains. So they tried to go and fight out against these more powerful nations that had them under control, that they was trying to start a revolution against. And it didn't go too well when they tried to do it on their own, right? Sodom and Gomorrah, you know, that picture up there is interesting. Because not only was they dying, they illustrated as like people was falling into these tar pits and probably getting thrown into them. Yeah. That's what the artist is depicting there. I thought it was funny. But yeah, so 14 and 11. And they took all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah and all their food and went away. And they took Lot, Abram's brother's son, who dwelt in Sodom, and his goods, and left. And one who had escaped came and informed Abram the Hebrew, for he dwelt by the terebinth trees of Mamre, the Amorite, brother of Eshcol and the brother of Aner, and they had a covenant with Abram. So this goes to show you the significance of Abram in this land, right? Things go wrong, and they like, hey, yo, we got to do something. And they go to the OG in this land, and he's already in league with others that are in this land. So one of those things that it tells you about Abram's character is what? He got friends. He seeks shalom. Even though he's a stranger or a foreigner in a foreign land, he's still seeking shalom with the inhabitants of this land. Is that not wise? Right? All praises. I want to dig into that so much more, but I think I'm going to leave that can of worms alone too. All I'm going to say is that, yeah, we in captivity, but it's nothing wrong with us using wisdom as we're in this land of captivity, y'all. Like, it's so much of when we're dealing with this walk that is, you know, it's almost, it borderlines, you know, like, we out for blood, we seeking vengeance, and to one degree, to some respect, I get it. But then on the flip side of it, like, it's not by might or by strength, it's by the Ruach of the Father. So as long as he still got us in this captivity, it only makes sense if you can to have some shalom with your neighbors. That's it, as much as you can, you know. So I'm going to leave that there. That's the character of Abram, right? All praises. So I want to pivot. How would y'all respond in a situation like this? So now he's just received news. Hey, yo, your nephew Lot, he got scooped up. And I saw him. They took him away. Him and all of his family, all his belongings and everything. Now, y'all remember the last lesson. Why is Lot there in the first place? Because he chose that land, right? Abram said, hey, wherever you go, I'm going to go the opposite direction. And of all places, Lot looked around and it said that he saw with his eyes that the place was beautiful. And he said, hey, that's the place I'm going to. Now, bringing that into the modern, right? How many times have we found ourselves in a situation where the actions of somebody else now has you in a bind because they made a rash decision, right? They made a rash decision, and they didn't depend on the Most High for guidance of where they should go. But now it's going to put you kind of in between a rock and a hard place because it's like I can't just not do anything, but this could potentially cost me my life. In Abram's case, right, this could potentially cost me my life.
And this also gives you some insight on Lot, because Lot was the younger man, and you know the first choice should have been Abram. He should have turned it back to Abram, said, you know, you pick where you want to go, and I'll go in the other direction. So it kind of gives you an insight that, you know, Lot wasn't a real fair-minded person.
So it's interesting. What I will say about Lot is we do get the idea that, like I said last week, he will venture out to the edge a little bit, right? Like Abram, it's hard to see Abram and knowing his character and saying, hey, Sodom, I'm going to go there, right? It seems to me, because we also know it talks about, I think it's in 1 Peter where he says, like, Lot's righteous soul was vexed daily dealing with the people of Sodom and Gomorrah. So we don't get the impression that he was unrighteous in Sodom, but we do get the impression that, like, but still, why did you go there, right? Like, what about that place was attractive to you and drew you there, right? Like, so, yeah, remember we meant, like, if you would accept the extra biblical accounts, like in the Dead Sea Scrolls, it tells us that Lot's wife came from Egypt. So that could have influenced why he saw the bigger city and was like, yeah, let's go there. But yeah, excellent point, Elder. Like, absolutely, he definitely could have said, hey, no. You pick first, and whatever you leave, I'll go in the opposite direction. But he kind of jumped on the opportunity.
But this is the type of stuff that you see when people are making decisions, fleshly decisions. You can see the same thing with Abraham and Sarah. And in that whole situation is where you get the allegory in Galatians. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is what happened when people make fleshly decisions.
Kind of straight up.
Especially when the Most High told him, you will have a son out of your own loins.
Kind of straight up.
But he went on ahead and his wife gave him the handmaid, and that wasn't what the father told him.
All praises. Like, all praises. To be spiritually minded is life, and to be carnally minded is. And in this situation, literally, we seeing it play out. Like, Lot done put himself in quite the bind. Right? So, one lesson is that sometimes other people's actions have a direct effect on our lives. It was Lot's decision to go to Sodom because he saw the outward beauty of the place and desired to go there. Now, as a consequence of his decision, Lot has found himself in between a rock and a hard place. He has been captured and caught in the crosshairs of the politics of the land that he has moved to. Now, how do you respond when the decisions of someone else has an impact on your life? Do you still respond with love, or does your frustration cause you to have a hardened heart towards the other individual? Has Abram himself ever been in similar shoes? Now, this is where it gets really, really deep. Has Abram ever himself found himself in a similar situation? Right? We read about it when he went to Egypt, right? So has he ever gone to a place and as a consequence had to deal with an unfortunate series of events that were outside of his control? Right? This is Egypt in a nutshell. So in Abram's case, the decision could be life or death, right? Again, we know and we see now how powerful these nations are that he's going up against. Like, this is not just a small little battle and I'll be back. Hey, yo, I'm be back later on tonight. Like, that's not what he's going up against. It's like, hey, y'all, arm up, because this might be the last time we see this place. That's what he's dealing with. So just something to chew and meditate on. It. 1 John 3:14. We know that we have passed out of death into life because we love the brothers. The one not loving his brother stays in death. Everyone hating his brother is a murderer, and you know that no murderer has everlasting life staying in him. By this we have known love, because he laid down his life for us. There is no greater love than this, than to do what? Than to lay down your life for your brother. So even in that situation, and as frustrating as it might be, I know the thought had to cross his mind, like, of all places you done chose to go, you didn't have to go there and now look. But he still chose love even over that. And this is a principle of Torah, right? Like, even my enemy, the one who hates me, if I see you over there and you in need of help, what am I supposed to do? Put down everything I'm doing. Let me go and help you get this donkey off from under this burden. And then you already know the character of that individual, because anybody with some sense wouldn't have loaded that donkey like that. You know this donkey can't do this. You knew it was grunting and it was when you put all these loads under it, right? And yet you did it anyway. So that goes to show you the heart of that individual that's in that situation. But still, you as the righteous one and being obedient to Torah, what do? Stop what you're doing and go help them.
And you also have to understand that Abram felt responsible for Lot, because Lot's father died with Abraham when he was thrown in the fiery furnace. See, a lot of people don't realize that Abram was thrown in a fiery furnace for 3 days and 3 nights also. And, oh, you did? Okay. So he felt a certain responsibility to Lot, because his brother had died. Now, I ain't gonna say cause of Abraham, but you know, which it impeded his death. Let's put it that way. So Abraham felt a lot of responsibility to Lot because of his brother.
Absolutely, he raised Lot as his own son. All praises. The W.
But I just like where you were going when you were talking about how have you ever been through those same situations? So it's like that's one way to look at it. Like when you are experiencing someone who, like you said, told you already, go in the opposite direction, you just kind of sit back and say, you know what, I've done that before multiple times. I've been in that same place you were in to where nobody couldn't tell me nothing. I thought I knew everything or whatever the reasons were, you know. So just goes back to that compassion, mercy, things like that. Though it could be very irritating and frustrating, still going back to like Abihu told Israel, y'all don't forget, y'all were strangers in the land. So treat, you know, the strangers in a certain way, those foreigners or whatever, because y'all also were in that same position. So just recalling to mind your previous situations and remembering, okay, no, having mercy and compassion. Well, no, I've been there, done that. Well, hopefully this time, you know, you've learned some things now from, you know, this, and we can move on together.
Yeah, all praises, like, for sure. Like, that's the thing, especially being in this walk. Sometimes we have the ability to see things plainly, and sometimes others can't, right? And it's like you get frustrated because you look at it and you say, well, I knew this was going to happen. As a matter of fact, I tried to tell you this was going to happen. But that doesn't negate the fact that, hey, when you're in your situation, I still got to love on you. Now, with that, I do want to preface it by saying you got to use wisdom in all things. I'm not telling you to be a fool. You got to use wisdom in all things. And sometimes what the person is asking for is not what helps, right? So you always got to balance it that way. I'm not telling you to go out there and just blindly, you know, have yourself in situations. But what I am saying is you always got to prioritize love, and that's what we're seeing that Abram is doing. And he's putting his own life on the line for the sake of Lot. You know, even though this was Lot's decision to go to this place, he said, hey, well, I'll be there, right? So all praises. So verse 16, it says, by this we have known love because he laid down his life for us. And we ought to lay down our lives for the brothers. So, yeah, again, we see how this works, right? It's just like what Ryan brought out last week. Like, just know if you forsake the mercy, it might come around a time when you need it, and you might be forsaken, right? But if you show it, you just might, when you need it, you got somebody you can call on, right? So 1 John 3:17, it says, but whoever has this world's goods and sees his brother in need and shuts up his tender affections from him, how does the love of Elohim stay in him? And it doesn't, right? So all praises. We're going to keep it moving. So one thing to note is Abram's response to this situation. While he did decide to act and help his brother, which was the righteous thing to do, he did not foolishly rush in the heat of his emotions. He prepared himself and those he led for the task at hand as best as he could, right? So, again, a lesson to be learned. I'm not telling you just rush in haphazardly, and just be a fool. I'm telling you, use some wisdom in the situation. And this is what we see Abram doing, right? This is 14 and 14. And when Abram heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his 318 trained servants who were born in his own house and went in pursuit as far as Dan. And he and his servants divided against them by night and struck them and pursued them as far as Hobah, which is on the left of Damascus. So he brought back all the goods and also brought back his brother and Lot and his goods, as well as the women and the people. Boy, this man was a warrior. And not just a warrior, a leader of warriors. And not just any warriors. They had to be some bad men. Trained servants. So we're going to look at that, right? H2593, Kanik is the word there. Brown Drivers Briggs. These are trained men. They're instructed. They're experienced. The root of that word is the same word that Enoch or Hanukkah or like to dedicate, right? These are dedicated men. These are men that have dedicated themselves to warfare and battle. Experienced men in battle, battle tested. So Abram here is positioned as a competent leader that has the trust of many men of valor. These servants are willing to go to battle for Abram and put their lives on the line. Notice they were born in his house. He had to be treating them right. He couldn't have been oppressing these people. They putting their lives on the line and fighting for this man wholeheartedly, knowing that they on the death mission. So also notice that these are battle-tested men, those that have dedicated their lives to training and have been instructed in battle. It is also worth noting the reason that Abram goes to war. He is there only to save his nephew. He is not there for his own personal gain and is not concerned with the politics of the kings of battle. All right, so we're going to transition to where we're going to kind of ride out on with this chapter, Abram and Melchizedek. So Genesis 14-17, and after his return from the striking of Chedorlaomer and the kings who were with him, the king of Sodom came out to meet him at the valley of Shawad, or Shaveh, that is the king's valley. And Melchizedek, the king of Salem, brought out bread and wine. Now he was the priest of the Most High El, and he blessed him and said, "Blessed be Abram of the Most High El, possessor of the heavens and earth. And blessed be the Most High El, who has delivered your enemies into your hand." Again, not by might, not by strength, but by his ruach. And he gave him a tenth of all. So now, just a couple questions. I want to test the water and just see where y'all at and what y'all might have heard. So, one, what's going on here? And then two, who was Melchizedek? Okay, so, all right, so we got, one says it's Shem. Has anybody heard anything else? Who was Melchizedek? Okay, so another view is that it was Mashiach, that it was Yahusha. So we got Shem, we got Yahusha. We've heard these things. The W. He was just a regular person. He was Melchizedek. Okay.
I was just about to say that.
Okay. So, and I see that's a can of worms I didn't want to open up. I purposely avoided. See, I purposely avoided that. No, this is the reason why I asked in the chat, what did y'all get? Because then I would have addressed it more if I knew there was a thing. So yeah, he's without father and mother. All right, so all praises. So okay. All right, so I'm a move. Okay, so bread and wine. Absolutely. So where have we seen that? So bread and wine, there's definitely something. There's something.
Well, so I'm thinking, where did he get this from? Melchizedek. It don't come from just nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you see circumcision, just like you see sacrificing, you see a whole lot of things from the beginning of time. Now, I can't say for sure, but it seems to me, if he's a high priest, he learned it from somebody.
Mm-hmm.
This the Most High, or you know what I'm saying? And then it's the order of Melchizedek, which means this guy, this is not necessarily a name, but a title. But yeah, I would say, my question, where did he learn it from?
Okay, so all praises. So all praises. So like I said, I purposely did not deal with that point, but I touch on it just a little bit, and I'll offer some perspectives to it. All right. So the other question was, so has anybody ever heard any? I think that's the three main options, right? That he was just a person, not necessarily that this isn't his name, but it's a title, and he was just a person. One is that this is Mashiach. and another is that this is Shem, right? And all three of these have been, if you look at over thousands of years of history, this has been debated, right? Like, Elder. Yes. That's one of the things that has been debated over the years. Like, so one point of view was that they looked at it and they said, well, no, this is Shem, and right. So that's one of the reasons why people will connect it, and they say, well, traditionally speaking, right, if he it would make sense why now he's heard, hey, he's safe back from battle. Let me go run up on him. And right. 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 I'm right there with you. Listen, I'm right there with you. All that I'm doing is, like I said, I wanted to ask the question and just, get the ideas out there. Like, one says that it was Shem. One says that, I'll word it this way. One tradition is that it's Shem. One tradition is that this was Mashiach aforetime. Another tradition is that he's neither of the two and that he's a separate person. And so, yeah, Akron.
In looking at, let's just say, if one says, well, this is Mashiach, then the question would be, well, why is Mashiach in the order of Melchizedek?
Mm-hmm.
But if it's Yeshua, then he'd be in the order of himself. You understand what I'm saying? So there would be no need to say he's in the order of Melchizedek if he is Melchizedek. So excellent. Excellent points. Like I said, all I wanted to do is just throw it out there. Now, y'all know where my stance is going to be in situations like this, right? Which I think I'm going to say. Listen, I'm going to say, hey, first, the very first thing I'm going to do is look at what the text is giving me, right? So now, the very first thing I'm going to say is Genesis is obscure, again, in this area. And it's obscure, and it leaves more room for debate than if it, right. So everything is fair here. Like, I'm not, if your belief is this is Mashiach, predestined before time, hey, I'm not going to fight you on it. This is not no matter of salvation. I'm not going to fight you on it. If you say, hey, no, this is Shem, I'm not going to fight you on it. It's not that serious for me. If you say, hey, he's just a man in this time, again, all of it is fair for me. And what I want us to understand is that this is a debate that's not going to be solved today, just like it hasn't been solved for the past thousands of years. Like, we can go back. The church fathers, or Origen talks about this, and and his statement is interesting. He says, at the end of the day, we really don't know for a fact. We can think. Then, before then, you get Talmud. Everybody has debated this. So, yeah. Again, cans of worms that I really wasn't trying to open up like that, but I could not deal with Melchizedek without at least breaching the subject. So, yeah, we'll keep going. All right, all praises. So one question is, who gave the tithe? So Melchizedek gave it to Abraham, but then we know it's also popular that Abraham gave it to Melchizedek. So I'm going to go back, and I just want to look at this, okay? Now, again, I'm not going to say which one or what it is, but I am going to I'm going to try my best to adequately represent both sides here, okay? So I'm going to go start at verse 14. And Melchizedek, the king of Salem, brought out bread and wine. So who are we talking about? We talking about Melchizedek, right? Now he was the priest of the Most High El. Who's the he? Melchizedek. Okay. Verse 19. And he blessed him. Who's the he? Melchizedek. And the him is Abraham, right? And said, blessed be Abram
of the Most High El, possessor of the heavens and earth. And blessed be the Most High El, who has delivered your enemies into your hand. And he, who is the he? So it's interesting, right? Okay. Gave him a tenth of all. So very, very interesting, right? Because immediately what we have to do is we got to deal with something that we later on in Hebrews, right? Now this throws that whole thing upside down. Now again, all that I'm going to try to do is represent both sides of it, but I couldn't just not deal with it. Okay. Okay. All right. All praises. Listen, I'm with you, and if that's, I am with you. Like, again, I'm with you. I'm with you. So, who gave who the tithe? So, Genesis 14:20, and blessed be the Most High El, who has delivered your enemies into your hand, and he gave him a tenth of all. Okay. So, when looking at this verse in both Hebrew and English translations, the grammar here is ambiguous. Right? Now, usually what you have in a situation in Hebrew, then it'll name the subject. It'll name the person that it's talking about. But in this particular instance, all it said is he, right? He gave him. So it makes it a little bit difficult to track and say, well, who's the he and who's the him? But up to this point, it reads and it flows a certain way, right? So it's fair. I'm just going to say from a literal standpoint, it's fair to look at it from both sides, right? So I'm going to explain both ways of looking at it, right? I'm going to explain both ways of looking at it. So there are two ways to look at this grammatically. One way of looking at this is that Abram gave Melchizedek a tithe of the spoils of war. So from this point of view, it would mean that Abram took the spoils from the war and decided, after hearing the blessing from Melchizedek, to give Melchizedek a tenth. From this point of view, it could be implied that Melchizedek was given a tithe as a priest. Right? Now, we know that the tithes in the Levitical priesthood, that they went to the priest, right? So now that would be one of the supporting details to say, well, oh, okay, this makes sense. Now, here's the pushback. The question is, are we only looking at it that way because we already know about the Levitical priesthood? Right? Are we making an assumption because we know how the Levitical priesthood works that that's what that's saying? Okay, according to the Levitical priesthood. Okay. 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 I'm right there with you. So that's one side of it, right? Agreed. Agreed. Right. It's not that he needed it. He definitely didn't go to battle for it. All right. So the alternative way of looking at this is that Melchizedek gave Abram a tithe of what he obtained from the aftermath of war, right? The question is, why is Melchizedek even here? That's the question. But so from this point of view, it would explain Abram's later refusal to accept the gift from the king of Sodom, right? So in this scenario, you have two kings trying to give Abram something, and Abram says, I'll take it from you, but I won't take it from you. Because anything that I receive from you, it came from the Most High, but if it came from you, I know it didn't, right? So you have
the history of Sodom and Gomorrah. He knew what type of place this was.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So he would never take nothing from him because he didn't want them to be saying, oh, I helped make Abraham rich. No,
absolutely.
I ain't going to even give you that slightest hint that you did something like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Abram accepts the gift from a righteous king and priest that serves the same Elohim as him, but refuses the gift from the king of Sodom, acknowledging that because the king of Sodom does not serve Yahuwah, the gift he gives also wouldn't be credited as coming from Elohim, and that king could take credit for making Abram rich. So this also, looking at the flow of the conversation, would seem to make sense. So again, I'm not here to tell you which side you should land on. I'm just presenting some food for thought, a school of thought here, okay? Go ahead, Zakane.
Slakia, man. But see, I want to also just add toward, you know, who were the warriors? Who were the police department? Who was the ones who guarded the word, which was the Levites? You know, and with the Levites, they not only were they priests, but they have many different positions. And Abraham himself, what is he? He's out here spreading the word. He's out here doing the works of the Most High, as a priest of the Most High, as well as when it came time to go to battle, he was trained at he was well trained in battle in order to go and defeat these other kings. So, I mean, it only just adds more toward for me, it adds more toward him being part of that, because we know the political priesthood comes from his bloodline. So he's already lined up for this. He's already set up for this. So with him already doing the works of the Most High, he's also working in the priestly. He's also working in the priestly vestures of the Most High.
Hey, all praises. So you got something, Ryan?
No,
Okay, so we're gonna get where I land on this and where I'm trying to land a plane on this, and it's really not on the topic of who Melchizedek was. That's really, for me, I'm gonna speak for myself personally. It doesn't score high on the list of my concerns, but there is something with the character of Melchizedek that is important for me that I want to try to point out. But before that, I got to deal with what we do know, right? Here's what we do know. So the writer of the book of Hebrews, so now there are many candidates that have been considered, such as Shaul. How many of us have heard that Shaul wrote the book of Hebrews? Has anybody ever heard somebody say that? It's out there, right? Some say, well, Paul wrote it. Some say Barnabas. Some have said Luke, because the similarities between Luke, the writing style of Hebrews, Luke, and Acts. So yeah, he's on the list. I got you. Yeah, he's on the list. He's on the list. Some have said Apollos and some Timothy, right? And they understood this as, whoever this writer is, right, understood it as Abram giving Melchizedek the tithe, which is where, like Elder said, this is the most common way of looking at it, right? And part of the reason why this is the most common way of looking at it is because Hebrews affirms this. The writer of Hebrews says that Abram gave Melchizedek a tithe, right?
since you went back there, because I wasn't going to say it, I'm looking at verse 21.
21 of
Genesis 14.
Okay.
And it says, "And the king of Sodom said unto Abram, Give me the persons and take the goods to thyself." So reading that, it sounds as if, okay, Abram got some people that he took from this place.
Mm-hmm.
And goods. So now if I'm reading that, then it sounds like, okay, Abram have people, and he's saying, give me the people. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So it sounds like you got goods and people.
Absolutely.
Which would make sense that, okay, if he got the goods and the people, then he's giving the tithe to Melchizedek.
So the question with that is, who has the authority to say what in that situation, though, right? Like, from that standpoint, it sounds like the goods and the people belong to the king of Sodom, mm-hmm. right? And the king of Sodom is doing Abram a favor and saying, hey, you take that and just give me that back, and you take the rest. I'm cool. I don't need that back. That's one way of looking at it. Right?
Back. You didn't go to war with Abram, you know, so how you gonna dictate what should be given and what should not be given? You know, you ain't fight this war. You didn't go with us to bring all these people back. That choice is only left up to Abram. You know, you were scared of them. You know, you didn't even want to go fight them. You know, if it hadn't been for Abram, you know, you'd never got nothing back. So you ain't in no position to dictate what goes to what.
All praises. Like, I'm just trying to lay out both sides of this thing. So Hebrews 7, right? Hebrews 7 is definitely in agreement with Elder here, right? Hebrews 7 says, for this Melchizedek, king of Salem, priest of the Most High Elohim, who met Abraham returning from the slaughter of the kings and blessed him, to whom also Abraham gave a tenth part of all, his name being translated indeed first king of righteousness, and then also king of Salem, that is king of peace, right? So what we can say is that at least the writer of Hebrews believed it to be that Abram gave the tenth to Melchizedek, right? So we good there. So why this is interesting to me? This is interesting because it would agree with the mind of the translators of the Septuagint, okay? So now Elder brought up that Timothy is a candidate for the writer of Hebrews. What's interesting about Timothy? Timothy is a Greek, okay? So now, is it possible that Timothy might be more lenient on reading Greek than Hebrew if he's a Greek? So that's the reason why this point is important. The Septuagint, y'all know what I mean by the Septuagint, right? This is the Greek translation of the Hebrew text. This is interesting because it would agree with the mind of the translators of the Septuagint, and it is possible that the writer of the letter to the Hebrews was more familiar with the Septuagint reading of the text, depending on who the author was, right? So if you read it in the Septuagint, here it is at the bottom. And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth loaves and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High Elohim, and he blessed Abram and said, blessed be Abram of the Most High Elohim, who made the heaven and the earth, and blessed be the Most High Elohim, who delivered thine enemies into thy power. And Abram, this is in the Greek. This is a feature of the Greek. It's not in the Hebrew, but in the Greek it says, and Abram gave him the tithe of all. So a responsible textual critic, right? A responsible textual critic would say, well, we know that in Sirach, in the opening, in the prologue of Sirach, what does Sirach say? Don't expect it to hit the same in another language as it does in the original language. Why? Because sometimes things get added or taken away just because it's a translation. So could it be that the scribes, because of their thought, reading it and trying to translate it, that they came across something obscure in the Hebrew text where it just says he, and they had to figure out who the he was, and they said, oh, this is talking about Abram, because they know about the Levitical priesthood and how that works. It is possible. It's possible, right? Not saying that that's what it is. I'm just saying that it's possible, right? So that could explain why the writer of Hebrews believes it this way, is because he's leaning on a Hebrew or on a Greek source text that has Abraham's name in it, right? So it could be that. Or it could very well be that, Melchizedek, that it really, that it happened this way. And that's what the Hebrew is talking about as well. What I'm going to say, as I say with most things, is, I don't know. I leave that to you. My job as the teacher is just to present the information, and then y'all, come to your own conclusion. But what we can say is that the writer of Hebrews believes it to go that way. All right, so we almost done. In David's eyes, right, we got to deal with David. And this is what I'm more interested in, is like what I said is, well, what is this quote-unquote order of Melchizedek? That's the thing that's important to me, because to me that's what relates to Mashiach, right? I'm not so much concerned with if this was Mashiach or not. I'll let y'all debate about that. But what I do know is that at least the writer of Hebrews is alluding to a quote-unquote order of Melchizedek, and it seems that David is doing the same, and it's going to explain something about David as well. Because have we ever seen or read where it's like David is like, where's the ephod? Or where David is doing certain things like a priest. Now, he didn't diminish the priesthood. He always had a priest next to him. But David does things kind of like a priest does things, but he's the king. He's still working with the high priest. But at face value, when you first look at it, you would say, why is David doing that? He's the king, not the priest. right? Has anybody saw that? And then now, what is it? 2 Samuel 8:18. It talks about. It says, and David's sons were what? Kohanim. David's sons were priests. So you ask the question like, well, how does that work? How could David's sons be priests and they was of the line of Judah? They was kings. And those two roles don't generally mix according to Torah, right? The only ones who can be priests are the sons of Aaron and Levites by extension, not high priests, but, and then you got the king line is supposed to be from Judah, and that's it. Absolutely. And that's what I'm getting at, and that's what's more important for me is looking at it as Melchizedek is a type, if you will, or a foreshadowing of the nature and the duty of Mashiach. Now, why that's important is because remember the Father's original plan was what? That we would be a nation of what? Kings and priests, right? The only reason why the Levites end up is because of the sin that took place with the golden calf. He said, draw a line in the sand. And the only ones that stood up to the occasion, that rose to the occasion, was the Levites. And from that point forward, they became the priest, right? And he took them as the first fruit of the people instead of the firstborn of all of the land. And then you can go to Numbers chapter 3, Numbers chapter 4, where it talks about the difference between the ransom of the actual firstborn and the Levites, and then the difference had to be paid in silver. So, and priests, exactly. So that's what we're trying to explain is, okay, so because some people will say, I don't know if anybody's ever heard this that are like, has ever had a conversation with somebody that's Torah only, or they don't even deal with. That's one of the things that they have an issue with Mashiach on, is saying, and how can y'all look at him as a priest because he was from the tribe of Judah, and that would be unlawful, right? But
Mary, his mother, she came from the Levitical priesthood.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you. Like, I'm right there with you. We read that his cousin is a Levite, right? So I'm right there with you. All that I'm saying is these are some of the things that we hear out there, right? So in David's eyes, Melchizedek represented a priesthood that superseded the Aaronic priesthood, right? So Melchizedek literally is a combination of two Hebrew words, Melech, which is king, and Zedek, which is righteousness. So this is interesting because the role of king and priest were separated between the lines of Judah generally being the kings, and Levi, those were the priests. So when we look at Melchizedek, we see him acting as both king and priest before there was an Aaronic priesthood. So before Aaron even existed or was ever could have been thought of, Melchizedek was already functioning as a king and a priest of Yahuwah El Elyon, the Most High, right? So this priesthood can't be the Levitical priesthood because this is before there was a Levite, right? Okay, all praises. So Psalm 110:1. Now this is a Mizmor of David. So who's writing this? King David, all right? Said, Yahuwah said unto my Adonai, which is again another one of those things that's interesting because Mashiach brought this up later on and said, so if I'm after David, who was David talking to? When he says, anyways, okay, I'm going to continue. So Yahuwah said unto my Adonai, sit at my right hand until I make your enemies your footstool. Yahuwah shall send the rod of your strength out of Zion. Rule in the midst of your enemies. Your people shall be willing in the day of your power, in the beauties of holiness from the womb of the morning. You have the dew of your youth. Yahuwah has sworn and will not repent. You are a priest forever. After the order of what? Melchizedek. And who's saying this? David, the king. Yahuwah at your right hand shall strike through kings in the day of his wrath. He shall judge among the heathen. He shall fill the places with the dead bodies. He shall wound the heads over many countries. He shall drink of the brook in the way. Therefore, he shall lift up the head. And then, like, just to throw that out there, Mashiach, even though he was before, like he physically, he's in that line of David. Like, we know that, right? Okay, all praises. So let me make sure I didn't skip it. Okay, yeah, no, I'm good. Okay, so the writer of Hebrews seems to agree with this point and furthers it as he notices the parallel between the order of Melchizedek and Mashiach, Yahusha. All right, so Hebrews 7 and 11. Truly then, if perfection were through the Levitical priesthood, for under it the people were given the Torah, why was there still a need for another priest to arise according to the order of Melchizedek? So again, Psalm and Hebrews both agree that this is a priestly order of Melchizedek, okay? And not be called according to the order of Aaron. So for the priesthood being changed, of necessity there takes place a change of law also. For he of whom this is excuse me, said belongs to another tribe from which no one had attended at the altar. For it is perfectly clear that our master arose from Yehuda, Judah, a tribe about which Moses never spoke of concerning the priesthood. And this is clearer still if another priest arises in the likeness of Melchizedek, who has become, not according to the Torah, a fleshly command, but according to the power of an endless life, for he does witness you are a priest forever, according to the order of Melchizedek. Psalm 110:4, what we just read. All right, I'm going to jump down to verse 25. He says, therefore he is also able to save completely, speaking of Mashiach, those who draw near to Elohim through him, ever living to make intercession for them. For it was fitting that we should have such a high priest, kind, innocent, undefiled, having been separated from sinners and exalted above the heavens, who does not need, as those high priests, to offer up slaughter offerings day by day, for by his own sins, or day by day, first for his own sins, and then for those of the people. For this he did once for all when he offered up himself. For the law appoints as high priests men who have weakness, but the word of the oath, which came after the Torah, appoints the Son, having been perfected forever. All right, so in essence, what he's doing here is showing how Mashiach qualifies to operate as both king and priest, just like Melchizedek operated as both king and priest. And he's showing that there is another priesthood that supersedes even what we know of the quote-unquote Aaronic priesthood, Levitical priesthood, right? Say that one more time.
Something much older.
Come.
The reason why I brought up where did Melchizedek get this from?
All praises.
Let's slow down. But I was saying to the people that's listening or whatnot, that's why I was bringing up the fact that this is something much older, and where did Melchizedek get this from?
Absolutely, all praises. That's the point that I really want to home in on, is whatever the case, what we can say, whoever we believe Melchizedek to be, the important part for me is the order that he's operating in, and that this order validates and substantiates the order that Mashiach operates in for us. So that's really what I was trying to get to with that. So, all right, so finishing up, right, Genesis 14:21. And the king of Sodom said to Abram, give me the people and take the goods for yourself. So now, remember last week we saw this, right? All that glitters is not gold. Now, how many of us in that situation would have been like, bet, good looking out, right? But all money ain't good money, as they say, right? So just be mindful. This goes to show you the wisdom of Abraham, right? So, but Abram said to the king of Sodom, I have lifted my hand to Yahuwah, the Most High El, the possessor of the heavens and earth, not to take a thread or a sandal strap or whatever is yours, lest you should say, I have made Abram rich, except only what the young men have eaten and a portion of the men who went with me. Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre. Let them take their portion, right? Hey, all praises. I'm not gonna. You're not gonna get no pushback from me, Elder. I'm just, like I said, my job is just to present both sides of it. I got to be fair across the board. Con, con, all praises. So, in closing, right? Proverbs 23:1. When you sit down to eat with the ruler, look well what is before you, and put a knife to your throat if you are a man given to appetite. Right? Again, all money ain't good money. So do not desire his delicacies, for that food is deceptive. Do not labor to be rich. Cease from your own understanding. Again, we're going to keep coming back to it. Not by might, not by strength, but by his ruach. Right? Do you set your eyes on that which is not? For riches certainly make themselves wings. They fly away like an eagle to the heavens. Do not eat the bread of one having an evil eye, nor desire his delicacies. For as he reckons in his life, so is he. Eat and drink, he says to you, but his heart is not with you. You vomit the peace you have eaten and lose your sweet words. All right, so that's the takeaway. All money ain't good money. All that glitters ain't gold, right? Be led by the Most High. It's not by might, not by strength, but by the Ruach, the spirit of Elohim, right? As long as we on that path and we being led by him, we told me, we where we need to be. So, all praises. With that being said, I'm done. Yeah, all praises. Yeah, this was one of those lessons, like I said, how far to go deep into it. Like my goal overall with it, like I said, and this was a conversation that me and Brian had, like when we decided to go in this direction with the studies. Like, I want to try to provide as much historical background, try to keep it practical as much as I can, but then I also want to be able to show Mashiach in this, right? Like, I also want to be able to show Mashiach in this. So, like I said, the takeaway for me is the quote unquote order of Melchizedek. Like, and we'll see, like, that's a significant thing, because it's easy for us, especially in this walk, to be so dogmatic to the point to where we'll close ourselves off, just like they did in Mashiach's day, close ourselves off to receiving him based on what we think we know about Torah, right? Like, from the carnal or from a letter of the law way of looking at it, right? There is no reason why a king should be able to be qualified. But when we actually slow it down and we look at it, we see, like, no, there was a priesthood in place, and Melchizedek he's a member of this priesthood, and he's both a king and a priest at the same time, which seems in alignment with what the Father's plan was. I want to make y'all a nation of both kings and priests. So, all praises. So, next week, Israel Now, weather permitting.
Weather permitting, we'll talk.
All praises, because, yeah, y'all know, hey, we counting down. It's supposed to get busy tonight, so.
It's already started.
Oh, my, yeah. So, yeah, with that being said, yeah, I ain't got nothing else. Ain't no need to hold us.
All right, all praises. Toda, shalom, everyone. Thank you for good seeing, familiar faces. First of all, understand the weather that we're about to experience, so please be safe. Mm-hmm. If something happens, you lose power, reach out.
Mm-hmm.
I open my house, whoever, hey, I might lose power. I might be calling you out. So let's just be safe. If you need something, don't sit and struggle in the cold, but reach out. I also want to thank this is our third week with the praise team, and I see where we're going. We just have to just continue as we grow into this. Most definitely, even building the culture of, even in this room, a worship, a house of worship, even before we even start. But that's a culture that we will have to continue to build. Also with our sound, and this is for, we're going to need a new soundboard. So eventually we can start putting some funds away to the side so that we get a Behringer XL32 channel digital board, which most definitely will enhance and make things so much easier. So now I don't have a problem doing this segue, but our Cash App, House of Refuge Dayton, even online, House of Refuge Day. But even those that are online, that you want to have a better, we want things to be in excellence when we do things for the Most High, especially when we're pushing things out. Once it hits the net, it's out there. So just upgrading our equipment, and I believe Yahuwah is going to make that. He's going to make that happen for us. But once again, to the singers, to Kadash, and to Alam for working to have to rewire and mix everything every Shabbat, but it doesn't go unnoticed. So with that being said, I know we have a meal that we're going to be a Passover tonight. We're going to eat. But I want you to eat, but I want you to go home before the roads completely get covered. And even for Kadash, he has to go back to Columbus. So all praises.
All praises. Yeah, with that being said, rise. All praises. Minds and hearts clear. Baruch atah Yahuwah Eloheinu melech haolam. That is to say, blessed are you, Yahuwah, a king that is everlasting. We give you all thanks, honor, praise, all esteem that's due your name. Pray, Father, that you would continue to uplift us in spirit, continue to equip us, build our confidence in you so that we can walk in obedience all the more in what you have called us to. Help us to understand our purpose and bring forth our gifts in that purpose. Pray, Father, that you would continue to watch over us, shelter us, keep us safe out here on these byways, these highways. As the roads get bad, we pray that you would keep your hand on us. Deliver us to our places, our dwelling places, as we separate from this place in safety so that we can make it back next week as a collective, Yah willing. As Mishpachah, I give you thanks, Father, for all of the things that you're doing with this house. Continue to supply our needs individually and as a collective so that we can all the more magnify and bring esteem to your name and just do your will and share your will with another that might not know you. With that, I give you all thanks for our praise team. All thanks for all of the laborers. It takes a lot of hands to do this every week. The food, everything. We give you all thanks, Father. Continue to strengthen us, not by might, not by strength, but by your Ruach. In the name of Yahushua our Mashiach, we say, Hallel to you, Yahuwah. Let it be so. Amen.